Hello. Today I'm going to be testing, and hopefully I won't have any problems with, two Betamax portable recorders, model SL-F1 and the tuner timer that goes with them, which I'm going to be using as a power supply. So let's get stuck in and see how they work. These have been part of my collection for a while. They were donated to me. I am going to actually trade one of these for something that I particularly want. The other one I'll retain. So I hope they both work perfectly. The tuner timer is missing its cosmetic front flap there, but I don't think that matters too much, does it? So let's investigate what we have here. The rear connectors, being portables, are a bit limited on these, so you get a DC input and a RF output for an aerial connection, and then this multi-way connector, which really only goes with the tuner timer. You can get a cable that plugs into that will allow you to get AV out, but they're not very common. So let's connect one of these up. We have another one here as well. Here's the tuner timer. So that's for your analog tuner, which obviously is of no particular use today, and a timer. And then your input selector could be line in, or this tuner, or camera. So there must be a camera socket here somewhere. There it is. Which is the big, how many way is that? 12-way Sony camera socket. So in here we have the rather nice Seek tuner. So none of the old twiddly things that a lot of Sony video recorders in particular were fond of. Search tuner, but of course it's all finished with now. A nice feature on this is it had a little sort of bar graph, so you kind of knew where you were on the spectrum. On the back of this, so we have AV inputs and outputs. Only mono on this. The associated machine that went with these is a mains machine, the SLC9, and shares a lot of, they've got the same deck, and shares a lot of the features of the F1. That's got linear stereo, but it's only linear, so it's nothing special. Not sure what multi-out is. I imagine that's AV in and out. Never seen that. This is a PCM switch, so in the PCM position, it disables a dropout compensator in the video recorder, which means that when used with PCM digital audio tapes, it allows the dropout compensator being bypassed. The error correction inside the PCM F1 or similar decoder can operate properly. The dropout compensator looks visually better but causes errors which are unnecessary for the PCM digital audio system. And that's the reason that when people use those digital encoders like the PCM F1, 501, 601, 701, they usually use them with Betamax machines because VHS machines weren't built with that switch. Right, so all I need to do is plug in this multi-way connector into here, connect this to the monitor, plug into power, and we'll see what we get. This sort of sits there nicely, and the F1 decoder, if you use that for the PCM audio, also sits in here nicely. It's got these little feet that sit there. Right, plug in this multi-way connector. Right, so as well as audio and video connections, that also provides 12-volt DC. So we can plug this in, and I always use the isolation transformer here. Okay, let's power it up. On. So this thing, you can switch it between timer and charge, so you can put the battery in there and charge that. Right, let's pop a tape in. Promising start. I should say while we're here, you can get to the audio control head and pinch roller to make sure they're clean. but you can't get to very much else on this model. There's no way of taking the top cover off here. You have to take the whole machine out, which means a lot of dismantling. And internally there are layers of boards with flexi cables connecting them together, and unfortunately if you start disturbing it, there's a very high chance that you'll break the flexi cables, and that is then the end of that. So I am not a great fan of the F1 portable for that reason. I guess you could modify one. You know, you could be a bit brutal and cut the top off one. I'm just going to clean the audio control head just because I've got access to it. Why not? You could take this off to give yourself slightly better access, and I think we will actually. Slightly rusty screws there. So I'm just going to clean the audio control head. So that's the top and bottom of this large silver head assembly here. Can I get you so you can see that a little bit better? You can just about get to the head drums here. The way this machine's built, again I'll give you a closer look, is you have, unlike VHS where the whole of the top drum rotates on most models and the bottom drum is static, on Sony betas they had a head disc, which means you only have the head tips whizzing around between static upper and lower drums. Looks like I didn't get that quite right. Right, now, being a Sony beta, it laces up as soon as there's a tape inserted. The tape counter on this almost does hours, minutes and seconds, but I don't think it does every second. I can't quite remember how that works. We'll find out in a minute. Let's press play. Well, that's okay. So it does every 10 seconds, I think, on the tape counter. That's working. There are a fair bit of dropouts. If I switch the PCM switch, you'll get a lot more dropouts. Let's find the PCM switch. So switch that to on, and I think you'll see the dropouts getting a lot worse. Let's do that. Right, so the dropout compensator is completely disabled now. And then we switch it on. It's a bit better. This tape is old. I recorded it in 2004. There's no massive faults there. You can see that's basically working. Let's try the tracking. It's really important. So it's set centrally at the moment. We'll swing it over to one side. That's not unusual. The warbling, you get that when you go a long way off tracking center, especially on Sony machines. Put it back in the middle, it's happy. We'll go the other way. And considering I'm now at an extreme tracking point, you know, I have to say that's a absolutely lovely machine. That's really, really central. The tracking's very, very tolerant. That's a sign of a good machine. It's got good heads in it. Let's try picture search. This will also work with remote controls for Sony machines. I don't have one with me just at the moment. Forward picture search, that was good. Reverse picture search. There was a momentary slight squeak, but okay. Pause. And there's a slow motion thing. And you can do one frame at a time. I don't remember if this has got a slow motion tracking control. I think probably it's just the one tracking control. Some machines, like the C9, has 2 tracking controls. That all seems to be working as you'd expect from a 2-head machine. Take it out of pause. It's also got a ×2 feature, so it'll play at double speed, and again you can fiddle with the tracking to get it as good as you can, but you know, it's not going to be perfect tracking. It's only a 2-head machine. I'm not going to test record, I'm not interested. Test signal on off, that's for the RF modulator, which we're not connected to. There's a light which illuminates the backlight on this display. Very feeble little light bulb there. That's all working. I can't remember how to set the clock on this with these buttons here. Clock set. Well, I'm defeated by how to set the clock, but it's not important, is it? Okay, we like that a lot. That works really, really well, that machine. Eject. No tape damage or any problems. That is lovely. Right, let's try the other one. Could it possibly be just as good? Well, let's see. Screws are nowhere near as rusty on this one. Again, I'll take the opportunity to clean the audio control head, I think. Press play. Again, test the tracking. Get the warble at one end. And again, the picture just starts to break up at the extreme end. So, really good tracking. Forward picture search. On Sanyo machines, they tried to keep the noise bars steady so they didn't roll through the picture, but it's not something Sony had achieved by this point. Reverse. Again, it made that slight squeak just for a moment. Going to freeze frame and do the same things as we did on the other one. And ×2. Again, you can adjust the tracking to get it as good as you can. Not bad at all. Again, we'll check the light, that's working. And eject. That went well. So that went very well, didn't it? I'm really delighted. Both of these work perfectly. So one of these recorders plus the tuner timer I'm going to trade in for something that I do want, and that of course will feature on YouTube later. And the other one I'll keep as a spare. I have a power supply, so I don't need the tuner timer. I can operate it from the power supply separately. Right. Do remember to like, share and especially subscribe, and I'll do a lot more content on audio video technology in the near future. Bye for now.